Jay Horwich, the very, very special edition of Amazing Mets Alumni Podcast. My special guest is Kim Ng, GM of the Marlins, and 2 years ago she became the first woman to be the GM of a major sport in North America. You ever played for the Mets? No, right?
No, never played for the Mets.
I thought I was slipping, Kim. I missed it? No. Yeah. But a little birdie told me you were a pretty good tennis player.
I used to be a pretty good tennis player, and then I became a baseball executive.
You gave up tennis for...
I didn't give it up, but obviously I don't get to play too often.
Yeah. We have some mutual friends who I think helped you. Your career helped me in my career. First is Terry Collins.
Yeah.
Terry, you were with Dodgers. How many years were you with the Dodgers with you?
I was there 10 years.
Yeah. I still speak to him 2 or 3 times a month, and I know you and Terry are still pretty close friends.
We are. Terry and I were at the Dodgers together. Terry was our field coordinator and then our farm director. He was a candidate to be our manager. We go back a long ways, and he's one of the guys in this business who has really been instrumental for me in my career and learning about baseball, understanding things. Particularly from at the time he was a minor league director. Learning that whole sector of the business. So he was really instrumental for me.
So we used to walk door lock, and we used to see what happened in the game. And with Terry, when he didn't really get to all the questions, I would stand in the back of the room waving, Terry, and he used to say to me one time, "The puppy dog wants me to answer something." That was me. And one of the local papers thought that I was feuding with Terry. He said, "Terry's one of my best friends," but that's the way he is. He was. The press loved him here. He's great.
Yeah, and the minor league players loved him. And obviously that was my interaction with him. Was around those minor league guys, and Terry was one of those guys that, the players, they loved him and they hated him.
Right.
And I think that's actually a compliment. It doesn't sound like a compliment, but it really is a compliment. Did
you see the film when he got kicked out, when Syndergaard threw it at Estes or something, and Tom Hallion went out there, and Terry was dropping F-bombs all over the place. He got more hits on social media than that. I mean, now the Mets fans loved him again.
Yeah, he can go viral.
Yeah, he can.
That is his personality.
The other guy, Joe Torre, had a couple of stops with Joe. He was my first manager.
Oh,
in
I
1980.
did not know that.
Every time I see him, he says, "You got me fired, Jay." "No, Joe, I didn't do that. That wasn't my fault." On our first road trip to Montreal, he took me to a tie store on St. Catherine's Boulevard. 5 of the ugliest ties you ever want to see. I had to wear them 5 days in a row. But I still talk to him. We have an old-timers game at the end of August. He's going to be there. What did Joe mean to you, Kim?
Well, actually, Joe and I were together 3 different stops. The Yankees, the Dodgers, and then Major League Baseball. Has also been one of the more instrumental people in my career. He has taught me a ton about the game. I think one of the things that I've learned most from Joe is patience. Joe just had a great way with the players, understood their mindset, and knew what it took. So just one of those guys who was there for me at different stops. And was always that calm figure in my life. Sometimes things can get a little hectic and chaotic and stressful, and he was just always there as that, that presence who was the calming figure.
Another guy, we same interaction, Ned Colletti, right?
Oh yeah.
So
not so calm.
No. I started in 1980 as a PR guy. I started with Ed Wade. He went on to be the general manager of Phillies. Ned, Dodgers, Cubs. I still had the same cockamamie job I did 42 years ago. What did I do wrong? All these guys became GMs.
Yeah, but then they got fired, so they did something right.
You talked about patience, okay? Number 5 interviews before the Marlins job. It didn't work out. Did you ever get to the point where you say, this is not going to happen for me?
Jay, it was way more than 5.
It was more than 5?
Way more than 5.
Way more than 5?
Did I ever? Yeah, I think after every interview I got like that. I think, you have all kinds of crazy things running in your head. Incredibly frustrating, became downtrodden, really, disappointed. Especially, a lot of those things were just so public, so, but, look, I think after a few days, or maybe a week, you understand where you are, and that is, I had great jobs at the time, and I was just incredibly fortunate to be in the business, to have gotten where I've gotten, and you just brush yourself off, and and life goes on. Had I ever quit the idea of it? Every once in a while, but it was, just something that you still in the back of your mind aspire to, and lucky it was somebody that I knew from my past that gave me the opportunity.
I know you were very friendly with Omar, right? He always talks to people, and as a good friend, and I know he would always talk you up anytime we spoke, and I can't believe she didn't get this job or that job, and you still keep talking to him at all?
Yeah, he actually texted me. He said he's going to be here tonight.
Yeah.
So we definitely keep in touch.
Yeah. So you grew up in Queens, right? Close
I
by.
did.
Were you a Met fan or a Yankee fan?
I will claim the fifth.
You claim the fifth? I got it. And tell me about your stickball prowess.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I was actually pretty good hand-eye coordination. So, as you mentioned, I was a pretty good tennis player. I played stickball here in the streets of Queens, through my childhood. I eventually went on to go play softball in high school, actually tennis and softball in high school, and then went on to play college softball as well. So stickball is really my foundation and got me going.
Kim, how much pressure did you have on your shoulders? I remember watching the press conference in November of 20, MLB Network, all the network, because of your local ties. I mean, when you, a couple of days, I mean, was there a lot of pressure in the beginning, or
Jay, I think every day there's pressure. And I will say that some days you feel it a lot more than others. And there's different types of pressure, right? There's the pressure of just being a general manager and knowing where your club is, and, the goals that you set for yourself and for the club at the beginning of the year, and trying to meet those goals. But then I think, probably the pressure I was talking about in the press conference was the pressure of being the first woman, of being a woman, period, in this business, and at the helm. And I think the reference that I made was I felt, 1,000 pounds of pressure go from the left shoulder to the right shoulder. And the left shoulder was actually getting to the position, and then the right shoulder is now actually doing a good job where, I do think that there are a lot of eyes on me, and making sure or just watching to see if I can do a good job. And that's the pressure that I feel, ultimately, I hope to do as good a job as I can and make the playoffs and, bring the Marlins to success.
I mean, every day in the papers now, there seems to be another breakthrough for women. Rachel McAvick, the manager of the Yankees, Kelsey Whitmore playing in the minor leagues. In today's paper, the Raiders named the first black woman to head be the president of the Raiders. Do you follow that really closely to see strides in other areas?
I try and stay pretty tied to it. I can tell you that I'm just so proud of these women, that have reached these levels, in the last several years, and really feel like it's time. And I'm just so glad that they're getting their due. They've worked hard their entire careers. They've worked hard to break down barriers and to overcome obstacles and preconceived notions, and have probably had to be 5 times as prepared as the guys in their various disciplines. But just couldn't be any prouder of them.
And do you think that your training, with the Yankees, 4 years, 3 rings, not bad. Did being around the media, did that help you in any way adjust to your role with the Marlins?
What helped me was watching a pro like Brian Cashman. Yeah. Brian was just incredibly adept with the media. I'd watch him prepare. I'd watch him actually speak to the media. And I thought the one thing that Brian just did really well was just, he was relatable. He was relatable. He was as honest as he could be. And when he couldn't answer a question, he would just say that. I can't really answer that. So I think his humbleness has helped him to navigate the New York media.
And you more than paid. You were really with White Sox with 20 years to 11, and you left to go with Joe. So you were with Joe a long time, then 8, 9 years with the commissioner's office.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, after you're there, I mean, when the call finally came, did you step down? So you're hoping to get so this would be the final call?
You mean when the Marlins
Yes,
called?
yeah, when the Marlins.
You know, I think I'm not sure if I necessarily thought that. You know, I thought I could be traveling down a road that I had traveled before. You know, just in terms of the interview process. You know, and I think that's part of the you know, the defense mechanism that you put up
Right.
after so many times of interviewing. But you know, I think as the discussions and the conversations wore on, you know, with Derek, that yeah, I started to see some light at the end of the tunnel.
Who was the first person you called? I mean, when you got the call,
I called Joe.
you called Joe.
I did. I would have called my mother,
Yeah.
but I wanted to tell her in person so I could see her face.
You know, we had another, I don't know if you remember her name, kind of a trailblazer in my profession, PR. Shannon Ford worked for me for, you know, I just still forget the right picture her name. Did you have, you know, when we hired her in 1994, women in PR was really, you know, was an anomaly. And she worked for 22 years. The players loved her. She was a professional. She worked at All-Star games. And did you have any interactions with her through the years?
I didn't. I knew of her, but I really didn't know her. But I've heard such wonderful things about her.
Yeah, we have a plaque in the press room. You know, your name, when you take the job, it's your second year, when you make calls, people know who you are. That's not, I mean, the identity is there, right? There's no, you don't have to just say, I'm Kim Mank from the Marlins. I mean,
You mean with other GMs?
yeah, I mean,
No,
your
no.
visibility is there.
No,
right?
they all know who I am. You know.
What's been the biggest is there a biggest problem or
The biggest problem, I would say getting on a 10-game winning streak.
yeah.
We've put a couple of sixes together this year, but I could go for a 10. No, you know, I think that one of the toughest things is to watch your club every day and you know, think that they can do better, right? Like they're not quite fulfilling that potential, and then having to sit there in your seat and not be able to do anything about it, really. You know, it's you know, one of those things. It's kind of tough, but you know, you get through it.
Are you a walker like Sandy Olson comes from the Billy Bean School? He never stays around. He walks around the stadium. Do you do that? Do you stay put in your seat or?
No, I'm probably not as agitated as that. You know, I stay in one place. I like being home because then I can scream at the TV.
And nobody hears you?
And nobody hears me. But no, when I'm in public, I can't do that.
Yeah.
But I stay in one place generally.
I saw something on Instagram today. The MLB is going to have a first ever women's tournament in the Jackie Robinson facility in Vero Beach.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I mean, what they did, I mean, I think they want to invite high school kids from all around the country. I mean, since your appointment, I mean, things have just blossomed all through MLB. You think it was an awakening for a lot of people that, you know?
You know, so take me out of the equation.
Right.
I think the idea that this happened, I do think it was an awakening. And I think people saw just how much incredible press it got.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, people started to understand, you know, and started to understand just how big this is and why there should really not be the obstacles that exist. And so I think everyone their eyes have been opened. I think they're on the bandwagon. And, you know, they just want to be a part of this movement, which I think is tremendous.
Do you think when the day will come, it's not Kim Eng, the first woman, but just Kim Eng?
A general manager.
General manager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, you know, do you still keep in touch with Brian and those guys?
I do.
Yeah.
Actually, I talked to Brian about a week ago.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost trading deadline.
Yeah.
Well, it is trading deadline month, so.
I was good friends with Gene Afterman. We got Nomo, and I was in Boston walking the Freedom Trail when she called. Well, Nomo's yours, and we did the press conference on the roof in Fenway Park, and one of the writers gave the number out to all the papers in Japan. And we were bombarded with about 9 million calls. None of our writers could get through. But Jean lives in California. She's not here.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's right. She's living in California, but I think COVID taught us that you don't necessarily have to be there. So I know
Yeah.
that her voice definitely rings in that office.
What do you remember about growing up in New Jersey? I'm a New Jersey person too,
Okay.
and you got your trade. Who gave you your love of sports? Your mother, your father? Or
Both.
Both?
Both, and I can tell you my grandfather was a big tennis player, came from a fun tennis family. And then my dad loved all sports and grew up playing a lot when I was a kid.
One thing Terry told me, I got sad at Woods, he said, Kim's a connoisseur of wine. I mean,
That is not true.
No,
My husband
Oh,
is.
okay. I
So-
might have screwed that up. I'm sorry.
No. So my husband owns a wine company
Right.
called Silas Wines. I am the benefactor
Of the wines?
of him being a connoisseur. I just know what I like. He knows what I like.
Yeah.
So
I'm partial to egg creams, Kim. Well, listen, I appreciate your time. I've been a fan from a long distance. I'm glad you got where you're going, and wish you nothing but the best, Kim.
well, thank you so much, Jay. It's great to see you.
Okay, are you sure you didn't play for the Mets, right?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, I thought I missed something in my record books. Okay, thank you, Kim. I
All right.
appreciate it.
Thanks, Jay.